Joining us in studio this evening is Zilungile Zimela, Marketing Communications and Partnerships Officer at FunDzas. Zilungile, good evening and welcome.
Good evening. I hope you're well too.
Yes, I am. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
FunDzas, I see the vision to help grow generations of educated, empowered and engaged young leaders and citizens in South Africa.
Yes. So this is a vision that stems back to the year 2011 in April, where we noticed that there are young people who don't have material in their hands in the form of books that has their stories in them. Young people were not able to read content that is accessible, and they didn't have books. They hailed from communities that were book scarce, and because of that, they would go on to become young adults that were not really literate. So this is what we wanted to change, and the international studies that were done at that time, they proved that a grade 4 learner in South Africa does not have the necessary proficient levels when it comes to reading and writing. So this is what we wanted to change, and it has been an amazing journey, I won't lie. It's been an incredible one. And
what has been so incredible? Share some of those personal experiences.
I think what has been most incredible is getting a young person excited about reading and writing, getting young people writing for expression and reading for pleasure, and for them not seeing literacy as a chore. And it has been amazing also to see young writers who did not have any training when it comes to writing, but have gone on to be mentored writers, have gone on to be authors, have gone on to be essayists and so forth. So that has been an amazing thing to see.
And what has been some of the challenges to stimulate interest in books?
Well, I think some of the challenges are that young people don't get, one, parents reading for them, and this is connected to a range of other issues. Secondly, at the time, there wasn't any reading material that was relatable to young people. They would read all of these stories and all these texts that were not really a slice of reality. So those are some of the challenges. And even the stuff that they would read about was not exciting and engaging enough for them to, take up reading as an exciting exercise on a daily basis.
So how do you as FunDzas then make it exciting and tangible for these young people?
Firstly, we get writers from the community from which the story is birthed. Because we do that, when a young person takes up a book, they can see themselves in the narrative. And these books are not necessarily written in one language, i.e. English or Afrikaans, whatever the case is. They are also written in mother tongue languages. Imagine how amazing it is to pick up a book and you see the setting of the community from which you come, and you read about colloquial language that you are used to. You get engaged and you get hooked on reading because you can see yourself in that story.
Has that been some of the challenge around literacy? In fact, is that the stories that one reads, you are so far removed that you can't see yourself reflected in any of these stories, and you feel somewhat alienated as a result of that?
That is a major challenge, actually, because in as far as it is possible, when you pick up a reading material and you delve deeper into it, you need to see traces of yourself or traces of a setting that you are familiar with. Then therefore you diffuse, or rather you do away with the conference of the mind of trying to figure out, what does this look like, where does this originate from, what does this mean to you. But if, for instance, if you're from a township and you get words in that story that relate to a township, that relate to you and relate to your life story, then you get hooked on reading, most definitely.
Zilungile Zimela joining us in conversation this evening. She's from FunDzas. Further information about the organization available online at fundza.co.za. How do you go about engaging with these young impressionable minds? Do you engage with them at schools, or how does it work on the ground?
All right. So across the country and in some parts of Africa as well, the African continent, we have reading groups and reading beneficiaries. So we'd go to schools and conduct workshops on reading and writing. And through that process, we get a number of young people coming to us saying, I want to pick up that book. I want to learn how to write more. How do I express my story? So through that process, we are able to, groom young people. We're able to get their stories out there. And also we donate quite a number of books to different beneficiaries across the country. And these are books that we produce ourselves. This is South African content that is authentic, that is in real time. So we do that on a continuous basis. And we also support reading clubs as well. We also donate books to schools and after-school programs that deal with literacy and writing.
The books that you produce yourselves, how is all of this generated? I mean, who are the partners involved with FunDza as well? I would imagine a whole host of writers from the start.
Definitely. We have a lot of writers. I think what's most exciting as well, through the creative process, we have in-house editors and in-house writers. So the magic happens right before your eyes. So we are partnered firstly with the writers. We are partnered also with the schools that we donate books to. We're also partners with the different reading groups that are across the country. And of course, we have a number of funders as well across the country or in the international sphere. But those things sometimes are not enough. We still need more. We still need more writers to come on board. We still need more funders to come on board as well to help us expand our vision and to do more. There's lots more that needs to be done.
Is there any way, and do you measure the impact of the work?
Definitely. We collect indicators on a monthly basis. This is one based on the traffic that is driven to our site, the traffic that is driven to our mobile library, fundza.mobi, and also through our social media platforms, and also through the books that we donate throughout the country. We always measure the impact, we always measure the value, because that informs the efforts after the fact.
Throughout the country. So are you based in most of the major centers?
All right. So we have our offices in Muizenberg. That is where we are stationed. However, we do have foot soldiers on the ground that are planted throughout the country.
I like that. Foot soldiers planted. This is guerrilla tactic. We got to get the books to as many people as possible.
You know, you've got to have your suit on when you tackle this challenge, because it is a massive one.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in 2016, the Progress in International Reading Learning study was conducted. And through that study, it was established that 78% of grade 4 learners in South Africa cannot read properly. And this is in the mother tongue and in a language that is perceived to be of instruction. So that in contrast to a 4% internationally. So that's a dismal fail. That is one thing that we, want to change. We want to make sure that young people from an early age are able to read. And when they become teens and young adults as well, they are proficient enough in literacy.
And what is your need as an organization at the moment?
Well, at the current moment, we need more funding.
Okay.
Honestly,
that seems to be the repeated mantra for many organizations.
Yeah, we live in difficult times.
Yeah.
We do need more funding and more partnerships with organizations that believe in literacy, that believe in writing, that believe in reading, and that believe in planting back to a young person who hopes to be a proficient young adult and elderly person one day. We definitely need financial injection into the work that we are doing so that we can produce more books, because there's a wider need. Currently, we are supporting 121 beneficiary groups across the year, and we donate more than 50 books at a time to them. And this is anthologies, it's pocket books, pocket booklets. It is also plays. So it's different kinds of books that we donate each year. Producing a book is not easy, from the collecting of content, collating of content, editing content, and packaging, the content itself, and the delivery. That is not free, and we're an NPO. So we definitely need stakeholders who have the financial will and the financial muscle to come to the party, and also organizations on the ground that are doing compassionate activism around literacy and education to come to the party.
Is that one of your roles as partnerships officer, is to try and solicit that funding and more partners within FunDza?
Definitely. My call to action is definitely to forge the necessary partnerships and to speak to stakeholders that can have a positive influence in our organization, and to strengthen those relationships. So part of marketing, communications and relations definitely means that you need to, be speaking to people, you need to be understanding what they're doing and the different organizations from which they come and how that can fit into what we are trying to do as FunDza.
Zilungile Zimela from FunDza, and further information available fundza.co.za. Lastly, just your thoughts about just the critical importance of literacy linking to development.
very important and very interlinked. I remember my first encounter with reading and writing was reading stories. It was actually Links in a Chain. It was a book called Links in a Chain that I did in primary school. And that book, the way in which it was written and the storyline and the plot itself got me hooked on writing. So it is very important for a young person to be able to read and write, because that affects their confidence, that affects their articulation as they move forward and progress in life. And everything these days, information is written. You know what I mean? Most of the information is written. You'll be required to read something or write something one day. So it's very important to love and fall in love with reading and writing right now, so that you are better able to express yourself.
And also to access the fourth industrial revolution.
Definitely. And another thing that young people need to do is to start using social media for social change, because our stories, we do publish them on our different social media platforms, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, in LinkedIn, and so forth. And our mobile library, live.fundza.mobi, is 0 rated with Cell C. So we've answered the data question, actually. So if a young person wants to get hooked into reading, and there's an array of courses as well. It's not just reading poetry. It's poetry, it's essays, it's short stories, it's online courses to improve comprehension, reading and writing, and you get a certificate after the fact.
Brilliant stuff. So thanks to fundza.co.za. Data has fallen. Make sure you head off to fundza.mobi to access that particular platform. Zilungile, Zimela from FunDza, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having us. I would have done a gross injustice. There's a gentleman that wanted me to say a shout out. Can I?
Absolutely.
Olanzo Nudia, I see you.
Thanks, Zilungile.
Thank you so much, Benito.